Michael, first of all, a reflection on the last week or so. Obviously, the two positive results, and then you had your chances, but really it was a good away performance from Blackpool that did you.
Yeah, I thought we knew it would be a tough game. I think where they sit in the league table at the minute doesn't reflect where I think they'll end up. They're a real powerful, good team, good players, good management, and we knew they could hurt you. But I thought on the night we unlike us, made two big errors really, and that's not like us. We haven't done that all season, but that hurt us against a team that then defended very, very well. But I thought we performed well. We still had lots of half opportunities and chances, and we chased the game even at 2-0. And I think that's the pleasing thing. So I don't think the performance was necessarily bad, but the results obviously frustrating.
Since then, we've had the club's accounts be released showing a £2.9 million loss. What's the take of a head coach seeing that? Do you see that as something that interests you?
Excuse me, not probably my lane so much, but I do think it just shows that we've got really good ownership here in terms of supporting the club and subsidising the club. Clive, Harvey, Ron Fowler, they never asked for anything back, and we're probably challenged, as you know, and everybody knows in a league at the moment that is inflation with salaries and budgets, and in this league there's some really big clubs, and we're trying to fight against those really big clubs. But I think we do the job we can do on the pitch to try and maximise everything we do, and I think that's the special thing about this club is that everyone pulls in the same way, along with the fans at Sincilbank. If we can make that a really tough place to come, I think it gives us an edge. But we do every day on the training pitch to try and fight and maximise what we have in the building and maximise what we have around the building. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's going to be a challenge for us as Lincoln City, but what's quite exciting is we love punching above our weight.
In terms of signings and ins, you signed Sam a few weeks ago and he, for the fans, feels like he's disappeared. What's the situation? Is he close?
Sam's very close. I think the reality of Sam is he's, before he went out to Oldham, he had a really big injury. He's then gone and played eight games in the National League at Oldham, and he's come into the building, and we're just trying to get him up with the intensity of League One and the training of League One. It's taken him a couple of weeks just to get back up. His quality is unquestionable. He's played at the highest level. His quality on the ball is unquestionable. We're just moving him up, if you like, into the intensity of the game and back into League One, and it's taken us a bit of time. It's taken him a bit of time, but he's there. He's nearly ready to go. It's just the adaptation from National League to League One takes time. So he's not injured. He's flying in terms of health, but it's just more getting up to speed with League One training and intensity. But his quality's there on the ball. We're just getting him in the right physical shape to come and compete for a place. And the reality is, you don't have an unlimited amount of subs. And everyone thinks that you just put players on the bench, but you have to carry centre halves, 2 9s on the bench. So ultimately, there's always somebody that misses out. And at the minute, that's Sam.
And is Wigan too early for him realistically? Do you think it's more likely that he might be involved the week after, because you've obviously got the week break?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see also the health of the other players, and we've got a week break, but I wouldn't say Wigan's too early. If he's involved in that, that's great. If not, then we'll look more to next week. But he keeps pushing in training, keeps asking questions, and he's definitely, these last few training sessions, definitely looking more up to speed.
As we talk, 1:10 on a Thursday afternoon, anything going on in the transfer market that fans need to be aware of?
Yeah, we've got a little bit going on. We've got probably looking at 1 or 2 young players to come and support. I think I've always said, I'm really happy with the group at the moment. If we can get some cover in some places, I think that's really important, because what we don't want to do is hit injuries at 2 days after the window closes or things like that. So, but at the same sense, we don't want to just bring in anybody and just have numbers in the building. So the group's really healthy and competitive. We've got players that we know are coming back. Tom Hamer's on a good recovery. George Wickens is on the grass today, which is great. And there's so we've got players coming back. So when we add in and when we're looking, it's more to have that cover and balance. But then again, like anything in the last minutes of windows, things can pop up for the future as well. And we're prepared for that, and the board are prepared for that as well. And yeah, we've got our eyes out with the recruitment staff and Jez and everything like that.
And in terms of potential outs, have you hidden Jez George's phone?
No, not yet. And I think it's a compliment, really. I think when we get tested, and we have been tested with a few clubs testing for some of our players, I think it's a compliment to what we're doing. I think it's a compliment to the players, first and foremost, who are in good form and when we get tested. But I also think, we're not a club that you can come and just take players off, and it's important. And Liam's fantastic at this and how he deals with that, and Jez. If they want our players, they're going to have to remunerate in the sense that we think is the value of those players. We're not a cheap club to come and nick players off, and I think that's also important as well, that we stand strong in those moments. But have not nicked his phone, but probably in 24 hours I definitely will, because it's getting a bit tight then.
And when I spoke to Liam yesterday, I thought it was quite interesting. We were talking about a player who used to be here and disappeared, and it was a similar player to Pordy. And the perception for many of us is that because he left at the end of the contract, Regan Poole to Portsmouth, that because Lincoln got no transfer fee, there was no value. But Liam was at pains to point out that actually the feeling was because of his performance for the team that there was a value, and he saw something around that with Pordy O'Connor, not guaranteeing that Pordy stays at the end of this window, but sort of saying that value is not just about getting a transfer fee.
Yeah, I think when we're talking football, there's always two values: a transfer value, and then there's a value in use. And I think when you're talking about those players that are out of contract in this summer, is like, what value do they give you now? And I think we always have to get that right. We always have to balance that right, because it's not also about just transfer fees, but it's also about how they impact the pitch. And Pordy's a great skipper. He impacts a lot on the pitch, but he also impacts a lot off the pitch around the building. So it's not just about a transfer fee in that situation. It's also what he brings to the building every day that we have to think about.
Wigan coming up on Saturday, hearing what their managers had to say about them losing arguably their star player, certainly their leading scorer has left to go to the Championship, and pressure financially at the club, it appears, forcing the sale. You must have some sympathy for him, but from the positive, you're playing a team without their leading scorer coming up.
Yeah, so I think that goes one of two ways for clubs and groups usually, in my experience. One is it damages them and hurts them, and the other way, it galvanises the group to make them stronger. We hope it's the first one and not the latter, but I've seen teams where they've lost the best players and become a better team, because obviously they rely so much on an individual, which he was a great player and he's obviously gone to that level because he's a good player, but sometimes that does galvanise a group. And Wigan, are really well coached, are a really good team on their day, struggled probably a little bit of consistency, but they'll be a hard team to play against away from home. And as we know, they're a big club that have been up there in leagues again and have a good following, but we're going to have to be on it again away from home to try and get the 3 points for sure.
Yeah, in terms of results, they're kind of win or bust at the moment, aren't they? There's not too many draws in the recent results. It's either win a game or lose a game, and I think it's 3 defeats in the last 5.
Yeah, and I think you saw that from them last season. If you remember, they started a little bit like this, and then towards the end of the season they went on a really big run and grew into the season. I think because they, in some ways, they're a bit younger like ourselves, and the young players grow and improve on performances and start to hit a bit of form, but they definitely can hurt you on the day, like you say, a bit of win or bust. But I think we've got the threats to hurt them on the day as well. So I think it'll be a really good game, but we're hoping we can perform again like we have been doing over the last 2 or 3 games, and turn those box entries and crosses and chances into goals.